on the sensory issues. I just want to round up now in this video. As I say, if you want to find out more about my sensory problems, please go and check out my blog. I've written about it in greater detail there. And I might have to do another video on this as well, because there's so much I need to talk about on another week. As I say, these problems with noise have followed me all through my life. And when I was a kid, for example, I was also, not only was I often overwhelmed in party situations and just shut down and became really quiet, but also I was terrified of balloons popping, any loud bangs like fireworks. I was absolutely terrified of a school firework display. I tried to get my parents to take me to the school firework display because I thought I could cope with it, and I didn't realise at that time I was scared of fireworks properly. But when I got there, I was absolutely terrified, and I just spent the whole time hiding in the toilets. This was at primary school. And then I dragged my parents home. I was literally dragging them home as fast as I could go because I was so terrified of these loud bangs. It was just awful. It was really scared. Also, as I have already mentioned, I tiptoe walked when I was a child, and I still tiptoe walk without shoes on to this day. It's easier when I've got shoes on. I don't need to tiptoe walk, but it's when I don't have shoes on, my feet. Certainly, when I was growing up, my feet felt really uncomfortable, flat against the ground. So I would tiptoe walk, and I felt quite unsteady when I was walking. So I had to tiptoe walk. So that I didn't realise at the time that was sensory related, and my mum tried to get me to walk with my feet flat on the ground because she thought it was rather strange, and she didn't know it was connected to autism. But now I know obviously that it is a sensory part of the balance problems. And also when I was growing up, I did have some motor problems as well, and that's probably also connected to the sensory side. As I say, reading is very stressful, even though I love reading, but I have to whisper the words out loud. It's a very intensive process. I have to whisper the words because I need to hear it as well as see it in order to get the meaning. It's like when I'm watching TV, I can't just listen to it, I need to see it, so I need to see the subtitles. And when I'm reading, I have to whisper the words. It's like just listening to it on its own isn't enough, I need to see it. But seeing it on its own isn't enough either, I need to hear it, so I need to have both. Otherwise it's almost like I'm not getting enough information out of just one sense. So it has to be, I think reading for me has to be sort of multi-sensory in order for me to get most information out of it. But also when I'm reading, if there's any competing noise or something else that's distracting me coming from elsewhere, that's really distracting, and it means I have to start all over again, which is why reading can be really hard work, or why I need it to be really quiet in order to read properly, and that isn't always possible, so that's why it's really stressful. I find cars stressful, exhaust fumes, bonfire smoke, cigarette smoke. Cars are really stressful because they're unpredictable. I find crossing roads really stressful. I'm always tensed up like this. People don't see it, but my hands are like this inside my pockets because I'm always so stressed. Because just walking down the road, all this noise, sound, people everywhere, it's really stressful, and this is my day-to-day life, this is my day-to-day existence. Just constant stress, constant. Listening to other people can be hard, because it can be hard to extract a meaning. I really want to hear what other people are saying. I'm interested in what they have to tell me, but it's so hard to pay attention to what they're saying. So I do often have to ask them to, I want them to tell me what happened, what they said again. And it's hard because I don't always want to over question them. So sometimes I just have to accept that I'm not going to always take in everything they say, because I often do switch off, particularly in groups, and particularly when more than one person is talking. It's really hard for me to follow conversations sometimes, even though I try. I try so hard, but it's just so difficult sometimes to stay focused on what they're saying when there's so many sensory things and other things going on around me. As I say, to get some of the problems that I have with sensory issues, however, I do have some positive aspects connected to the sensory side as well, my synesthesia and also my love of eating and food. But I think I'm going to have to talk about this in another video because I don't have time to talk about those aspects now. When I talk about my interests in food and things like that, that's where the sensory sort of ties into my special interests. And I have talked about my interest in food elsewhere, but I think I'd like to talk about it in a bit more detail because it is such an important part in my life. And also my heightened auditory sense, although for the most part is extremely annoying, it does mean that I learn languages really well. I'm pretty good at picking up languages like French. My mum said when I was at school I was actually really good at picking up French. It's just that I didn't pay enough attention to it because it's one of those subjects where I often daydreamed and switched off and didn't take it seriously. I got a C for GCSE, but I could have got higher if I'd applied myself. But at one point I was semi-fluent in French because I just seemed to pick up languages pretty well. And like say someone's speaking a foreign language to me, and they say a sentence in that foreign language, I only need to hear it once and I can repeat it really quickly, whereas another person might struggle to repeat the sentence in the language. And I think that's because I'm so good, my auditory sense is heightened, so I can pick up languages pretty well and accents and just things like that. And yeah, long words and things like that. So that's maybe a positive of having a heightened auditory sense. But generally it's really hard, and I'm a very light sleeper, so I'm often tired because I wake up so easily in the night with the slightest noise wakes me up, you know. It doesn't even need to have to be a loud noise. It'll wake me up, hence why I often sleep with my fingers in my ears. I've tried earplugs, they don't work. I also try white noise as well. I've got a white noise machine, but I haven't properly used it yet. But yeah, I sleep with my fingers in my ears. I've been doing that pretty much since I was a kid, on and off. Yeah, so that's really, really difficult, you know, and I need it to be completely black when I'm sleeping, you know. If there's the slightest bit of light, that stops me sleeping, so I have to wear a night mask. You know, I'm sensitive to light as well. When I was at school, I often felt tired because of the bright lights, but I didn't realise that was a sensory thing. I just thought, I just feel tired because of the bright lights. I just thought it was something to do with the contrast between the bright light and the darkness outside, but actually I think it probably was connected to sensory, because I do find some bright lights really tiring. But anyway, I'm going to stop now, but I'll carry on in another week. If you've got any questions or anything you'd like to ask me about sensory issues, do please put a comment on the comment box below. And also, I'd be really interested to hear about any of your sensory issues. What senses do you find cause you your most difficulty? Do they cause you any pleasure? And sometimes senses, as I'll talk about in another video with my interest in food, senses can give us a lot of pleasure. So do let me know, and I'd be really interested to hear about your own experiences and if any of what I've talked about has resonated with you today. Okay, so thank you for watching.